resume our panel discussions. My team went back yesterday and re-examined the counties where Representative Andrews was close. Before I get to their findings, I want to take the time to give a special thanks to my staff for their diligence and hard work of reviewing the petitions and the objections multiple times and ensuring that the process was fair for both the candidates and the objectors. Based on what the panel found and my team's research after we recessed yesterday, here's where we are. Andrews lost 3 counties after the SOS reviewed the original objection on Monday. Those counties were Clark, Clayton, and O'Brien. However, my staff found 2 others that met the threshold, Story and Scott, on Monday. And as I mentioned yesterday, my staff stops counting when our initial review qualifies a candidate when you submit your nomination papers. So on Tuesday, the panel counted signatures that were previously disqualified from Clark, moving them back to the 101 total signatures. With the addition of Clark, Mr. Andrews has 19 counties with 100 or more signatures. Since yesterday, the challenger did not have an opportunity to speak, I want to give Mr. Bush an opportunity to do that this morning. And with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Bush to make any comments he'd like to make.
Great, thank you. First, to clarify why I wasn't at the meeting yesterday, a lot of speculation about that. After I filed my challenge, I called the Secretary of State's office and asked what would be required of me. If there was a required statement or an optional opportunity to give a statement. I was told verbatim that this was unprecedented, that there would not be an opportunity to give a statement, but I could attend and watch if I wanted to. So I decided to stream it online since I wasn't going to get a chance to say anything. And imagine my shock at hearing the very first statement made, Mr. Bush, would you like to give your opening statement? Well, then the comments started coming online about what a coward I was for not showing, that I'm a shill for some campaign, that I'm not even a real person. And I didn't like that. So I got dressed, got in my car, raced across town, found the only parking spot in Polk County left that would get me up here, and arrived just in time for a recess, and then told to come back today at 8. So here I am, a real living person. I have a statement. Firstly, my filing in opposition is not due to any personal ill will or animus toward Representative Andrews. If I was in Eddie's district, I'd vote for him, and I hope he can continue to represent his district in the future. We align on nearly all ideological and political issues. While I am supporting another primary candidate in this race, my core reason for initiating this has nothing to do with hurting Eddie or helping someone else. I hope we haven't gotten to the point that supporting a candidate and wanting election integrity are mutually exclusive. I'm sure everyone here is well aware of what's going on in our national legislature. According to surveys, at least 80% of us want there to be integrity and transparency in our elections. Probably, like you, I'm hitting the like button on every X post demanding that somebody get something done with our elections so that we can trust the outcomes. So when my adult son, who knows I'm politically active, texts me and says that he has credible information that candidate Andrews' candidacy filing was somewhat lacking, and I discovered that there will be publicly available documents regarding the details of his filing, I have a choice. Confirm his low expectation. Recline back in my lazy boy and take in more hours of March Madness basketball. While I continue to like posts about the Save America Act, or get up off my butt, get uncomfortable, and engage in the political process that I say I care so much about. what I saw from the public documents concerned me. And I knew enough about this race to understand that some had a vested interest in seeing as many Republican candidates as possible and would never question anything, which is a problem in and of itself. So it was going to have to be me. The fact that we're here for a second session today with lawyers, maybe somebody checking for dangling chads in the corner, proves my suspicions were valid. Representative Andrews' candidacy was not a slam dunk. Perhaps we'll find that there's just enough evidence to get Eddie on the ballot, and that's great. Welcome to the primary. But if he doesn't meet the same standard that the law requires, and that 4 other candidates easily surpassed, then I would expect that Eddie and his supporters would not want him on the primary ballot illegally. Right? I'm asking reasonable questions. It seems we all want to save America until it comes down to our own dreams, our own aspirations, and our favorite candidate. As part of the 80% who long for integrity and transparency in all our elections, I'm willing to engage in the political process against my own desires for comfort and self-preservation to ensure that accurate and transparent records rule the day. For the sake of this state and country, I hope we can all agree on that. I have 5 counties that I wasn't around to be able to hear the details of your determinations on. I'm happy to ask if you've resolved questions that I have on those counties. I was probably in my car trying to get here yesterday when that happened, but that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. Any questions from you?
I guess. First of all, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it. This is a part of the process that's a little bit different. It's not a legal case. Instead, the objections panel was designed so that citizens and candidates both, they may hire lawyers, but they certainly don't have to. And then there is a due process step where any decision we make can be reviewed by the district court. And so it's one that's intended to be open to citizens. I appreciate your involvement. I appreciate the involvement of Representative Andrews and his counsel as well. But it's that kind of a process. And I'm sorry you didn't know you couldn't be here yesterday. I know we found each other in the hallway, and I'm glad that you can be here today. If you weren't here, your objection still was fully being considered. But you sure have a right to be here, and it's good to hear from you. I did want to clarify something just so for county count I can understand where we're at right now if I could. And so when I was focusing on this last night, looking through some things, I found 21 counties that I'd say before objections are taken into account could be qualified, or
We can go through a full recap.
I think that would be helpful, because when I'll just say what my math was showing, 21 counties, but that included Story and Scott in that 21. And so if that's not the case, I just want to make sure I've got the right counties that we think are at the threshold of 21, where so we can focus that way. That would be helpful to me to just go through that.
I'm going to have my staff do a recap of where we were at yesterday, based on any adjustments that might have come up. This addendum was sent to you last
Yeah.
night. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is actually the final count.
That's the 21, right?
21, we counted that. 21.
And that includes Story and Scott, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 21, not 23? Okay,
Good. I'm going to let the staff do a quick update for us.
okay.
So, just to start where we were yesterday, we ended with looking at Clark, and we had 99 signatures. Going back and looking at those, based on facts that were discussed and decisions made by the panel yesterday, 2 addresses were added back, so that is why the count was brought back up to above 100 and to 101. That would be the page 3, line 2, and page 3, line 11, just for clarity.
So that's not the same as the numbers that I've got, and I just wanna make sure. We had, I think, 113 signatures from Clark, not 99. The total that was submitted by the candidate, I think, was 113.
Yes, it was 113, and then after the objections
Okay.
were brought in, there was 99 left, and then we added them back, and there was a discrepancy in why, based on the number of objections and the number of signatures, that's kind of where the math got confusing. After we went back, we realized that some of the objections had labeled things that had already been accounted for in the SOS count, and that's kind of where the math got confusing. We did multiple checks last night and came up with 101.
Can you tell us which, because I just wanna check the math here. I had 15 objections that we thought were well taken based on the filing by Mr. Bush. There was one that we were checking on, I think that was the 10th one for Clark County, that we did not make a decision on, but we had 15. So you're saying that the 113 minus the 15, there's some kind of duplication there. Can you tell us which ones were duplicates?
So the sixth one down, the page 1, line 8, it says crossed off by SOS. That's something that would have already been accounted for.
It would not have been included in 113,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's helpful, okay.
Along with page 2, line 2.
So that's objection number 9 as well. Is that what, the same one, as he's listed them for Clark County?
And then also page 3, line 16.
And that'd be objection 13?
I apologize, mine don't have numbers.
Okay, I think he did, so I just, you had a number, your lines were numbered.
Did we determine then that there is a Maple or Meppel or something street in Osceola?
Are you talking about line 3, page 3, line 2, and number 10? Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Page 3, line 2.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
no 120 Maple or 120 Meppel in Osceola.
I had a note on that one that was being checked on to see if that was an address.
Line 4, Pleasantville, not in the county. Did that get looked at?
Line 4 did get looked at. Yes, that was found to be well taken, but that would be,
That Pleasantville is in?
no, that is a well taken objection, so
Okay.
that signature wouldn't count.
Okay.
So basically, we found that all of the objections, with the exception of the 12th one and the 10th one, were well taken. I think what the Secretary of State's office is clarifying is that when someone submits petitions and the candidate often will go ahead and cross off certain lines because it's clear it doesn't have an address or it's not in the county, the Secretary of State does not count that as a signature at that time. So it doesn't need to be subtracted later because it already wasn't in the first count. So that shows me then that instead of 15 being removed, it would be 12 being removed, right? Is that how we got to the 101?
I believe so, yes.
And just to confirm, then you, instead of doing, we talked about this, the subtracting from the, subtracting, you actually went back and counted
We
them.
actually go through and notate on our papers what should be marked off, what is accepted, and then we do a full recount.
Recount, that's where I think we were getting to yesterday, which was to do an affirmative.
Yes.
And that number, again, as you recounted, was then what?
101.
As I don't have the original list of, what I filed, can I ask if line 4 on page 1 has to have a house address? Was that accepted as a?
That was not accepted.
So not listing an address?
Oh, no, that was found to be in The line 4 on page
One.
1, I have that on the list of objections that we did believe that disqualified it.
Okay.
So to make it easier, just for your reference, we found that all of your objections were founded except for page 3, line 11, and then page 3, line 2, they were checking on it to see if there was any more information about the validity of that address.
Okay, line 11 on page 3 says that there's a Julie Carney, but there's no Julie Carney at that address. She lives, the Eldridges live there. Julie lives in Line Street in Murray.
Iowa law requires eligible electors to sign on these nomination petitions. And if somebody has recently moved and hasn't updated their registration in the statewide voter registration base, doesn't disqualify them from signing a petition at that address.
And she used to be at that address?
I can't confirm that.
Can you look that up?
What were the other ones that were accepted in discount?
Sorry, just to clarify, looking up where she's currently registered and where she used to be registered does not disqualify her from signing a petition at her current address at the time that she signed it, even if she hadn't changed her registration. So I can take a look at the voter registration database, but that doesn't mean that I have any knowledge of where she was currently residing, that she would sign that record.
What other ones are you?
Those were the only 2. The rest of them were all
From
accepted.
Clark, are we in Clark County?
Yes, are we gonna go through all of them? Because we went through this the other day. Get the panel as much time as you want, but I wanna make sure we understand what we're doing.
I'm only honed in on it just because we're at 101, and that's obviously a
Sure.
significant
No,
number
that's
here.
fine.
So I just want to get the math right. So it's very helpful to understand that 3 of the 15 that we found, that 3 of those weren't counted in the first place by the Secretary of State, and that's how we got to the 101. So now my math does match.
I've just got 4 other counties that I'm concerned about, not the whole list.
Do you have anything to recap?
I think it'd be helpful at some point to recap Clayton and O'Brien when that's appropriate.
Those are 2 of them.
Well, Clayton, we're not recognizing Clayton as being one of his counties. We're recognizing that one at 99. So there's no reason to go back and do that one. What was the other one?
O'Brien.
Yep, and your count for Clayton was
And
99.
O'Brien, we're not counting either, so neither one of those 2 have any bearing on this right now.
O'Brien doesn't?
No, because
Okay.
we're not counting it.
Disqualified.
It didn't make the 100, correct?
And Carroll and Pottawattamie are the remaining questions that I have.
As for our count, we went back and looked at Carroll yesterday again, and the count was 105. And Pottawattamie was also 105.
Can I clarify what was accepted or what wasn't from Carroll?
We haven't done Carroll yet.
We haven't, yeah,
Or
we
Pot.
didn't. We didn't work through that.
Is the original?
Thank you.
Copies.
So, page 1, line 1 and 2, they would have already been counted off by our office.
So you're saying those weren't counted as a signature by the Secretary of State?
No.
Correct.
5 and 6 on page 1.
Those would not be complete addresses.
That's right.
But were they counted by the Secretary of State in the 105?
Yes.
Okay, so that's an objection that you think is well taken?
Yes.
Sorry, no, hold on. Were they counted in the 105? No. They would have been
They would've been
counted,
taken
they
out.
would have been taken off of the original count. They're not the 105.
You sure?
Correct, they're not.
They would have been come off the original total. Correct?
I believe so, yes.
Well, I mean, that's the question.
Yeah, that's the key
Then we have
question.
to turn
Yeah.
around and count them
Yeah.
affirmatively.
Okay,
The objection was gone through twice yesterday.
okay. But this would not be, page 1, line 5 is not included in the 105
It was not counted.
as part of the 105?
Correct.
Okay,
The difference being that those without the addresses were never considered, they're never counted in the original, right? Yeah. You had already taken
The
those
goal
out.
for the 105 was to take out all the ones that we agreed on,
Yeah.
with the challenge we put forward, ones we agreed on, and anything we found in addition to that. Go ahead, continue.
Page 3. Line 2.
Line 2, page 3 is in Crawford County, Carroll County.
have we done, I just kinda wanna go in order, have we done page 1, line 6?
Yes, I looked at both of them.
Okay, can you tell us what the answer was?
Neither 5 or 6 would have been counted in the 105.
Okay, thank you. And the next one I think is page 2, line 14.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice.
That's the field box.
That would not have been counted. The highlight would indicate that. Page 3, line 2, we would have looked up and indicated that if it was in Crawford County, it would have been outside Carroll, so it would not have been counted. Line 16 would not have been counted as PO box. Line 17 would not have been counted for being an incomplete address. For line 2. One of those would have been removed.
But was it 3 signatures or 2 signatures?
Oh, actually, two of those would have been removed and one would have been kept.
That would not be in your 105 count?
It reflects the 105 after those two actually was taken out.
Okay.
So page 5, line 5 is not a box number.
page 5, line 2 is what I have.
No,
What are we,
Where are we on?
yeah,
We're on.
I'm at page 5, line 2.
That is a lot sooner, yes.
Okay, and so that was not counted?
That would not have been counted.
The objection says, page 5, line 5, that is an address.
That is an address,
That's
yes.
correct, so that one is, that objection, if you're keeping track.
Okay.
Here is not.
Page 5, line 3 is highlighted as an incomplete address. That would not have been counted. And then, again, with the triplicated signatures, those would not have been accounted for. Only one of them would have been.
Okay,
That was already dealt with.
right.
Page 6, line 3. Only one of those would have been accounted for. Page 6, line 3 was a duplicate, so only one would have been counted for.
Alright.
Page 7, line 5 was found outside the county.
So that would not have been counted?
Correct.
As for line, or page 12, line 1, we have not removed for illegible handwriting previously.
So that one's still included in the 105.
And then page 11, or page 12, line 2. I believe that one would have been included as well.
Line 1, if I may, several problems. The address doesn't match anything in Carroll. 181105 or 181103 or 18405 or 18403 are not addresses that go with Carroll. Jake, Luke, or Juke Avenue aren't in Carroll County, and the date is 5 months in the future.
So you need to prove that they're not. Do you have information to that effect? And we have to take it at face value. Sorry.
And the date is not required, so the date would be irrelevant.
Still in Carroll County, page 7, line 5. Audubon is an Audubon County, not Carroll County.
Are you speaking to number 44
On your sheet?
on your sheet?
Challenge.
Page 7, line 5.
It's confusing because we're going off of your challenge sheet too.
Oh.
That's why I'm trying to make sure we get the right one.
If that is the one that you're speaking to, we've already addressed that and that was not included.
And line 6, duplicate.
We've already addressed that one and it was not included.
Okay.
So we've gone through the entire county of Carroll now. So that still leaves us at 105. Any other questions from the panel?
I just have a few things from Pottawattamie County.
I just wanna finish up Carroll real quick.
I can't hear you. You want to talk?
Well, what do you?
Even with the change in the Pottawattamie, it still has enough to be on the ballot.
Hey, bro. Hey, Gary.
What county did you want?
Well, just go ahead.
I didn't hear what. Do another county you want to do panel?
You good with Carroll?
I'll count it again while we're going through things. I came up with a different number, but I might have missed a sheet. I got to 97. Just wanna make sure I got it.
So what's the will of the family, we're trying to? What do you want?
Well, we can keep on going. I haven't made a decision yet myself on Carroll.
What would result, I mean, do you wanna,
Just, when it's really close to 100, I'm just trying to be
Yeah.
careful and make sure that my math is the same as everybody else's, so.
What county do you wish to go down to, is what I'm asking, because otherwise we're done.
So I guess the summary that I have shows that we think that Clayton O'Brien were not qualified for his
Correct.
100 signatures. And so that would bring it down to 19 counties, which is the requirement, right? And so we probably do need to consider the next objection county that's in the objection.
Which is,
It's probably Pottawattamie, because that's the one that seems to be closest, but.
Pottawattamie. I'm also having the staff go back to, again, count, because we'll have a
Count
third
Carroll.
count. We'll have a third count.
Thank you.
Good, I think that makes sense.
Page 6, line 5.
Are we on Pottawattamie now?
Yes, we are.
Yes, thank you.
I believe that one was counted. It was found to be.
I had no such address there.
Well, when you challenge and you don't think it's a legitimate address, you have to show us somehow that it's not an address. We don't do address verifications to the challenger, but we'll keep looking up for it when we can.
The page 29, line 1, duplication, one of those would not have been counted.
So it's not in the 105?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Along with the page 30, line 3. Or the page 32, line 7. Page 33, line 1, and duplicated on page 6, again, would not have been counted as a duplicate. And then the two regarding the vacancy box Those pages would have been counted because the vacancy box is not required. So those pages would have been accounted for.
It says right here that this is required, and that wasn't filled out on page 6. Required for federal and statewide petitions. It's blank.
Are you referring to the blank for the county for the signatures?
Yes.
Are you referring to?
This line right here that comes after, this is required.
Can I speak to that?
Yes. Well, we give her.
Yeah. So the page was created by the candidate and not, created by, if the page, the nomination petition page was created by the candidate and not by our office, it doesn't change the requirements required by Iowa statute. So if a petition page created by a candidate says that a field is required and not completed, that doesn't change what the requirements are for us to accept a page.
Which page are we talking about?
Page 6. And I understood very little of what you just said.
So we do not create petition pages in this format. They would have been created by the campaign itself. And therefore, all we're looking for is if the required fields are completed, if we're using a document other than the one prescribed by the Secretary of State's office.
Does the
original have the county filled in or not? Does it?
Yeah.
It's in the original?
This is
Okay,
the original.
okay. The county is filled in on the original. Can you hold it up just so we can see? It's right,
It's in red,
In red.
so probably can scan.
see right there. It's filled in on the original.
I understand your question now. Just all
Yeah.
go.
I don't know how it could be on the original and then not be on the next step.
On which thing?
Red doesn't scan, why isn't it on?
Could you tell him the first signature on the original so he knows he has the right page when he's, I just wanna make sure we're all talking about the same.
I have Dr. Brian Jack Fuller.
No. The one that's red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's ready.
You're saying that the first page has to have it on it, and
No.
then
No.
every other page
No.
does not have to, even though they all say that you
No.
have to?
Every single page has Pottawattamie on it, I just flipped through them all. So every page of the originals that I have in my hands has Pottawattamie under required for with the county listed.
If somebody used whiteout on this one and took it off?
We
I
can-
don't know how you
We
got
can
that.
hold up the original so that you
Originals,
can,
right.
that is the original that was filed, and it does have Pottawattamie filled.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Red.
So that's Pottawattamie, and that would leave our number the same.
Yep.
How are we doing on our recount for Carroll?
And then the last objection on the Pottawattamie, that one was not counted too, that duplicate, just make sure.
No, would not have
Okay.
been.
None of the duplicates would have been accounted for.
Pete would get in trouble.
Three, what you're showing.
That's what I'm showing.
Can you give me 1 second? I just want to
Carroll.
So I did a count, I had my staff do a count, and it was a different number. Can we go, I hate to do this, but can we just go through the pages and make sure we know what we're counting for Carroll, so we're on the same page?
All right.
It would be helpful, because some of the page numbers are unclear on this copy we have of the originals. It'd be helpful to say what page we're on.
What page number are we using though?
Well, if you say the first signature on the page, you can make sure we're all on the same page.
These page numbers are all over.
They're all different.
Bailey, I'll go with this one.
So Charlene, we had 16. For 32669 Walnut, we had 15. For first name Emily, we had 17. For Grant Road, we had 5.
I might have that on a different page.
Looks like first name is William.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you. I see it. You had 5, you said? Yes, okay, thank you.
For first name maybe Teresa, we had 3. For looks like Winwood Drive, 3.
What wasn't Ludwig a duplicate?
It was the first time signing.
I
So that was
just
counted.
saw Ludwig back here that you counted, I believe. Page 4, that's starting with
That is-
Joy on Grant Road.
That is true. I had that one down for 2 ballots.
With Ludwig, the first time I believe it shows up and then it's duplicated from the one you just counted.
Yeah.
I
It's,
think there's 3 things in there.
We did tally two to our total count for 59, but my handwriting might have read as a 3. It is a 2.
Okay, great, thank you.
House number is 268 Nass King. We had 18. Clara Ave, 14. One 886 320th. We had 3. First name Brooke, we had 1. Possibly first name Wayne, we had 4. Maybe a Jake Ave, we accepted those as 2. First name Tony, 1.
we're still at 19 counties. Any other questions?
No, I think going through the objection, there aren't any other grounds that we need to look
Okay.
at.
All right.
Someone disagrees.
That is a motion to,
I would have a motion to overrule the objection. Could I clarify some of the points that were raised on notice yesterday, just for the record briefly? And one of the things that I just wanted to mention is this process moves informally and quickly so that people can get to district court, because ballots have to be printed quickly. So that's part of the reason this process moves quickly and informally. It's also the case that any candidate with knowledge of their own petitions, they don't just have constructive notice, but they would have actual notice of everything that's been filed, because they were the candidate's own documents when those are filed. And certainly appreciate the issue yesterday, where the continuance was given until today, so you have a full copy of the exhibits. We're glad to do that. That certainly was unintentional and it shouldn't affect the process with the continuance. But as far as the notice of what's in those petitions, before filing, a candidate can make a copy. After filing, they can request a copy from the Secretary's office. You know, I believe any person can do that in Iowa if they would like to do that, but there is an assumption that you have actual notice of what you do file when you do that. So, and the process is designed for speed and for people to not have to retain a lawyer in order to protect election integrity and just make sure all the process is being followed. So with that, I really appreciate everybody's involvement in this process, and especially the Secretary's staff. It's been a lot of work to go through all this, and just thank you for setting my mind at ease by double checking everything. We always want to do it right under the law and of the facts, and so I would move to overrule this objection, because I believe that after going through everything in great detail, there are 19 counties that are qualified, and that is the minimum number that is required to be qualified in order to run for governor.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I want to thank the panel, I thank the candidate and the objector. As the Attorney General pointed out, there's a lot of passion that goes into these election processes, and we do have timelines we have to meet as well, and to be fair to making sure that everybody has an opportunity to have a voice in what we're doing. And Mr. Bush, I'm sorry that you had misunderstood the directions of how this challenge process works. If you were there yesterday afternoon, you saw Mr. Busolo, how he went through his and had to demonstrate the address issue. As I said earlier yesterday, as someone who's also a candidate, trust me, I understand the frustration of both being challenged and being the candidate. But I think that the key thing here right now is that we tried to give everyone transparency in our process, and we now have come to a conclusion. With that, we will put the ballots together and we'll move on to the primary. So we thank you for everything today. We're adjourned. Nope, you won.
Yeah!